guys, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I have my review of the Yucca palette from Natasha Denona. This palette, I was lucky to get it right after it launched, and I've been trying it out and playing with it and creating looks with it just so that I could give you a good review of the palette. If you don't know, I love following small YouTubers. I love people that do not put content necessarily the same day of the release, or if they do, they later do a review, a thorough review of a product, because I don't like only first impressions. First impressions do not tell me the whole lot that I need to know about a makeup product. That's just the way I roll, because when I want to buy something, most of the time I wait to see a bunch of reviews so that I don't make mistakes and so that I'm not wasteful. I already have a large enough collection of makeup that whatever I want to add up, I want to be able to know something about the product before bringing it to my collection for it to be permanent. And I love Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes. This Yucca palette caught my eye because it came with a new formula, a sparkling formula that Natasha Denona has never released before except for the Love Face palette. It reminded me of my favorite Natasha Denona palette, which is the Gold palette. A palette that I've been loving since I got it, that just made my love for Natasha Denona eyeshadows explode, because it came with the chroma crystals, it came with cream to powders, and the color scheme overall just caught my eye. And this seems like the best companion for the Gold palette, or it seemed like the best companion for the Gold palette, and then I tried it and I realized that I love it all on its own. So if you want to see my review of the Natasha Denona Yucca palette, daylight swatchings on my hand, and then also me creating these two looks, telling you everything you need to know, and then comparing it with a few of my Natasha Denona palettes that I think look similar to this one, then just keep on watching. I wanted to insert right here the swatches for the eyeshadows, and you will see them on my arm on my balcony, so the sun is hitting them full on. So I put the swatches and I place them in the order of the palette. So you will see first Plantasia, Calathea, Camorebi, Acacia, Camu Camu, and then Taipu, Elysian, Bali, Citrine, Ray, Flax, Fuchsia, Macchia, Ixia, and Willow. When you read on her website, she says that this is the perfect green to brown type of palette. So I wanted to compare that to the green brown palette that was my first Natasha Denona palette, that mine looks like crazy. It has about 12 pans already that I've hit, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful palette, and I love that in my collection for a long time. This is the green brown palette, and then this is the Yucca palette. This one looks way warmer than the green brown, the original. It comes with more brown than green, and it also comes with different type of greens that the Yucca palette doesn't have, but they can work as companion palettes because of the browns and the shimmery browns that the Yucca palette is lacking on. Also, I feel like for the sparkling shades, even though this is a new formula, it reminds me a lot of the original metallic formula from Natasha Denona. So I'm gonna swatch right here. This is the silver on the green brown, and then Elysian from the Yucca palette. You can see that how reflective they are is similar, even though there are two different shades. I have here Industrial from the green brown palette, and you can see this is Industrial, and they catch the light beautifully. These two could even be dupes. I would have to try them a little bit more, but the original metallic formula from Natasha Denona was a wonderful formula. Then this is a green from the green brown palette, and you can see how blinding these metallics are. More about what made Natasha Denona famous, because you would swatch them and they would swatch for days. They would have this pigment on the eyes, so they're just beautiful. They're just beautiful. But I don't think I have dupes right here within this palette, except for Industrial and maybe Elysian. They're similar, but in the pan, Industrial looks darker. This palette is beautiful. I love it. Mine is looking awful. I'm planning on depotting it into a C palette because the packaging is just crazy old. You can see right here that I was just always thinking when I was trying the palette that these feel a lot similar to the original formula of the 28 pan palette from Natasha Denona. Now with the gold and the Yucca palette, you can see the gold right here. It was basically the inspiration for me to get this one because I love the gold palette. And you can see them side by side. They look like sister palettes, even though the gold has more neutral browns and it has way more everyday colors. I found for the week that I've been using the Yucca palette every day that these comes in handy for every day, but it gives you sort of a twist because my eyes look so warm when I'm using these. They look so reddish brown or yellow brown when I'm wearing them, and when I'm doing my eyeshadow in the mirror I can see them lighten right away. So I've been enjoying that because of that reason. And I also love that the greens on this palette, in comparison to the green brown palette, the original, and then even the aqua colors in here, is that these green browns, since they tend to be more mustardy, they tend to be more everyday for me than these aqua colors. I find them to be bolder, and the ones from the green brown palette as well. One shade that seems similar is Brass, which is a metallic shade, similar in the pan to Macchia or to Ray from the Yucca palette. So I'm gonna be swatching them so you guys can see. So this is the metallic from the gold palette. It's in the shade Brass, which is a greenish gold. Then this is Ray, which is a metallic, but it's more of a satin eyeshadow. You can see that it doesn't have the same amount of metallic foiledness to it. And then Macchia, which is the one that I'm wearing on my eye, it's more green than green gold. But these two are the most similar, just that the finish is different, and I prefer the one in the gold palette. I know people are comparing the Natasha Denona Triochrome, I guess because of the greens or the green row and the last row that it has. So yeah, it has similarities. You can use them as sister and brother and sister. This is definitely way more green and yellow than this one since it has the purples. So I'm gonna swatch two shades right here that I see on the Triochrome that are similar with the Yucca palette. So Scarab, which is the Triochrome eyeshadow for the green colors, I can swatch it next to Macchia, and you can see that they're two completely different colors and formulas, but they would complement each other beautifully. This is more of a satin eyeshadow and this is more foiled. The Eon shade, I want to swatch it next to Camu Camu, but Camu Camu has more yellow to it. So this is the one in the Triochrome and this is the one in the Yucca palette. They are both pigmented and beautiful. The Metropolis palette, of course, is one of those eyeshadow palettes that comes with so much, and it was such a similar, in a way, palette to the gold palette because it had a lot of the color scheme, and then half of the palette, if you cover the reddish and bluish tones from the Metropolis palette, you can see a lot of the Yucca palette in it, but more, like I said, as a companion and not as the same shades. So you can see the lower part of the Metropolis palette. If I do this, it looks more like a companion for the Yucca palette, but different. So I'm gonna swatch a few of the shades. The shade Troop and the shade Calathea, which are cream to powder formulas. This is the one from the Metropolis palette and this is the one from the Yucca palette. And then also the duochrome on the Metropolis Orium, and then the duochrome Plantasia in the Yucca palette. I will swatch them side by side so you guys can see. They are similar. This is Plantasia and this is Orium. These are dupes, you guys. These two are definitely dupes. I'm gonna swatch them on my arm to tell you guys if the finish is different. Orium looks darker in the base, but they are almost the same eyeshadow, you guys. I could see myself just filming a video trying to dupe or removing and creating a Franken palette from the Natasha Denona palettes that I own to create the Yucca palette and see what shades do not have any sort of a dupe. Yeah, I almost never reach for the Metropolis palette unless I place eyeshadows from it in a Franken palette, which I haven't done in a while. But the Yucca palette, I haven't been able to stop using it since I got it. And then last but not least, even though I don't find these two look similar, I wanted to show you the Sendo palette and the Yucca palette next to one another. These are definitely different, you guys. I don't think that there's anything similar in them. I can't even swatch. No, there's nothing to swatch. Maybe Seal and Flax, they could be brother and sister, but I don't think they're dupes, maybe. So this is Seal from the Sendo palette, and this is Flax from the Yucca palette. Okay, you guys, so now after the swatches and the comparison of the palettes, I think that I would use the Yucca palette as its own person, and then I would mix it up with her brother and sisters. I find it to be a good companion palette to all of the palettes, and then the rest of my collection of Natasha Denona eyeshadows as well. I could use it as a collection of singles, and I could use it on its own, and it's beautiful. I love the sparkling formula, the new formula that she released, because I used to love the metallic formula that Natasha Denona came up with. I think the difference that we can find is that it comes with more speckles of shimmer that can grab the light so beautifully. Natasha Denona knows her formula. I love that some people, when they don't like the cream to powder formula, they hate it. And I love that she only came up with, I think, 2 eyeshadows from that formula. I absolutely love that formula as a base, and I love it for darker colors because I know that they will not have fallout, but I know a lot of people hate it, and I love that she listens to her clients. If you don't know, you can use the Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette intuitively, but you can also create or come up with looks just looking at quads, then 3 eyeshadows if you use them diagonally, and then also quintets when you use them this way, or 3 eyeshadows if you use them this way. So it's a palette that you can use in many different ways, and it teaches you to create a look. The packaging is 10 out of 10. I love the ombre effect, sort of like a palm tree is just moving and you're seeing the shadow, but in green to yellow mustard shades. I adore it. I think this is the perfect palette for summer, but it will also carry you to fall, and I think it's just wonderful all year round because the sparkling shades can be the best look for New Year's as well, or just nighttime events. This is a 15 pen palette from Natasha Denona. They're now upping their price. They're not gonna be $65 any longer. After the Dream palette, they're $69. I wish the prices would just stop on everything because everything is getting super expensive. But I know that Natasha Denona eyeshadows never disappoint, and I think this is the first palette that I've purchased this year, if I'm not mistaken. I think this is the first one. A friend gave me a few eyeshadow palettes, but I haven't purchased any eyeshadow palette this year, and this is the only one that I brought into my collection. So now let's go into the looks. I made them super easy, and also you can see me using the same brushes on both eyes, and then I did the look with only mascara so you guys could see it if you don't like wearing eyeliner, and then I did it with eyeliner in my waterline, and then I did it with wing liner. So let's go ahead and watch these 2 eye looks with the Yucca palette. So to start with the looks, I'm gonna do 2 looks, 1 on each eye. You will see another look in my Natasha Denona looks week. This palette has been loved by me for the past 5 days. I don't think I filmed my 5 looks, but I think I have videos of 4 of them, and I will insert the clips so that you guys can see them. But today I wanted to do 2 looks that you can use that are gonna be wearable looks for you, but that are also a little bit more glam than what I've been doing. So the first look that I want to do, it's a look that will be more on the cool tone side, and honestly it sounds crazy, but it's the reason why I purchased this palette, and it's the shade Elysian, which is this shade right here, and it's everything and more than what I was expecting from this eyeshadow shade. I'm gonna be using more cool tone shades, so I'm gonna be using Flax, And I'm also gonna be using Calathea, which is this shade right here. Okay, so the first shade that I'm gonna be using is the shade Tipu, and this one I'm gonna use as my transition. And what I found with this palette is that this palette makes my eyes look more yellow, and I adore that. So that blends seamlessly, and this is a creamy matte formula from Natasha Denona, which is the most perfect matte formula of eyeshadow that ever existed. So after that's blended on the lid, I'm gonna go in with Flax, which is a deeper shade, and I'm gonna grab the same brush, which is one of my favorite brushes to use, is the Morphe M504, which is a really fluffy blending brush, but that can pack a punch if you want it to. So I'm tapping first the product and then I'm blending it. So that gives me more dimension, and I don't mind the way that will look on my lid because my lid is going to be basically covered with Elysian. Then to make Elysian even peek through more, I'm grabbing Flax and I'm placing it all over my lid. So I'm grabbing a flat shader brush to do so. And this is the perfect smoky eye brown, and I know this will be one shade that I will heat pan the quickest because you guys know I love browns and this just works amazingly. And then with that same flat brush, you can go in and apply Elysian, or you can go with your finger, which is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go first with my finger and then I'm gonna use a brush. This shade, you guys, like, I'm obsessed with it. Now with a small blending brush and that same shade, I'm just placing it in the places where I can't reach with my fingers since I have long nails. And you guys, I have fallout, but I don't mind the fallout because my foundation is completely set. So I know that I can just remove the fallout with a brush, under eye brush. And now to finish this look, I'm grabbing Taipu and Flax, which are the two shades that I used. And I'm using them in the same order, first Taipu and then Flax, to create a gradient on my lower lash line. And then this could be a nighttime smoky eye. I can apply black eyeliner, but that I will do at the end so you can see both looks without anything and only mascara. And you can see that you can rock them without anything and only mascara. Then I will also apply, just to make it more fun, I'm gonna apply Como Ready, which is this one right here. These are beautiful. They perform amazingly. They catch the light in the most stunning way. So I'm gonna apply these on my inner corner, just as a colorful inner corner highlighter. And I'm obsessed. I think Natasha Denona needs to come up with a few more palettes that have about half the palette of this type of formula, which is the new formula that she just released. On the other eye, I'm gonna do something completely different. So I'm gonna start with Camu Camu, which is this neon greenish yellow shade, and that's gonna be my transition. Then to deepen up that transition, I'm gonna go in with Citrine, which is this shade right here. Same brush. And then to create more depth, I'm going in with Acacia or Acacia, which is this one right here, and a small blending brush. And I'm gonna place that on the outer corner of the eye. I changed brushes to pack more of a punch with a flat shader brush. But I want the look to be super monochromatic. It's just different tones of the same shade in a way. And I love the look of that. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on my lower lash line, and then I'll go in with a shimmer. But I'll be using only Citrine and Acacia on my lower lash line mixed together. And now, since I want this look to be more green, I'm gonna grab the shade Macchia, which is this one right here in this beautiful, beautiful formula. I'm gonna place it with my finger in the inner corner. I will see if I wanna expand it to the outer corner. Up until right now, I want it only in my inner corner. Not on my inner corner, but on my inner third of the eye. And then with a detail brush, this is the Morphe M213, I'm applying that right here. And just completing the look. I find that it looks a little bit incomplete, so I'm gonna grab the shade Willow, which is gonna be a deeper shade, but it's gonna be like a aqua green shade, and the small blending brush, and I'm gonna put that in the outer part so that it doesn't look like it's incomplete. So this shade Acacia wasn't a shade that was deep enough for what I wanted to do, but if you would wanna place this color all over the lid, Acacia would be perfect as a base. Now you guys, in my opinion, that will ruin my look. So I'm gonna go in with Macchia, and this is how I build looks in real life. I'm gonna go for Macchia all over my lid. And then it will have the shift of the Willow underneath, and that will be dimension enough for me. But I want these looks to glow, because all of the looks that you will see on the videos that I've been filming these past few days for my stories, those have been more lightweight or everyday looks. And these, I wanted it to be more glam and different from one another. So yeah, I think that would be enough. You can see that if you put a base color underneath the shimmery shades, then you can get different looks. So now I got the dimension that I wanted without compromising the glow. The fallout, I will remove it with my under eye brush. And to define my lower lash line on this one, I'm going in with Calathea, which is this cream tube powder formula. I'll be using the same small brush just to enhance right here. Okay, you guys, so this is what both eyes look with only mascara. And since you guys always see me applying black liner on the inner rim of my eyes and wing liner, I want to show you that as well. But I wanted, for those of you that only wear the full eyeshadow and are not that into tight lining and defining the eye and creating a wing liner, I wanted you guys to see this option, and then I will show you the option with liner and black liner on my inner rim. Now this is what it looks like with only my Rimmel Scandalized black eyeliner on my waterline, on my upper and bottom waterline. And you can see that this will define the eyes a little bit more, but they will still look more open and round than when I put my wing liner on top of the eyeshadow. And now this is the full look with lower lights, and you can see that all throughout the video I lowered my lights so that you could see the real colors of the eyeshadows. And I think that's what I'm gonna do from now on when I'm demoing products. Even though I feel like it looks dark in the room, I feel like you can appreciate the color of eyeshadows and the shimmers way more. So now I wanted to show you with the wing liner added up to the look. And now that the looks are done, I wanted to tell you guys my thoughts, my final thoughts. So do I think that you should get the palette? In my opinion, Natasha Denona comes up with a great sale for Black Friday. If you want these as a collection of singles, and you can wait it out because of the color scheme. If it's a color scheme that you love, half of the eyeshadows and whatnot, then I would say wait for the sale. If you're dying to try the formula because you're a Natasha Denona collector, you will not be disappointed. I think that these, because of the sparkling shades, if you love the color scheme, if you love browns, if you love mustardy shades, because I'm not a green eyeshadow person, but this doesn't pull extremely green on me. It feels more like yellow, mustardy, and then brown. I would tell you to go grab it because it's beautiful. I think it's worth it. I wouldn't say the same thing for the pastel palette and then the Circo Loco palette as palettes that I will tell you get them when they're not on sale, because those, if I could turn back time, the Circo Loco I got on sale for 50% off, but the pastel I got it when it was released, and it's not a palette that I tend to reach for. If you love a Natasha Denona color scheme and you can't wait to try it, and you adore the color scheme, get it right away. If not, just wait for the sale. But I would say that this one is worth it, and it was worth it for me. I took the plunge with this one, and I've used it so much. Even when I get new palettes, I never use them for 5 to 7 days straight. But this one, I couldn't wait to try it and put it on my eyes. And the eyeshadow shade that I wanted the most, or that I was craving the most when I saw this palette, was this one, and I wasn't mistaken. I adore this eyeshadow. When I go and do this look, and you can see me like from the side, this eye look is just everything. I don't know, you guys. For me, it's a yes on this palette. I really adore it. I hope you like the inserts of the daylight scene of the palette and the swatches, because that for me it's a new thing, and I want to incorporate it in all of my videos so that you guys can enjoy different views and then seeing the palette in real life. Also, that's why I dimmed the light a little bit so that you could see everything as it looks in person. That's it, you guys. I always leave a question in the comment section below so that we can chat about beauty and makeup. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet. Let me know what you want to see next also. I love you, and I guess I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.